Hello, this is Dr. David Musnick, otherwise known as Dr. M. And this is our podcast, Dr. M's Experienced Functional and Sports Medicine. This is episode 3. Our topic today is insomnia and sleep. And this episode will be about 20 minutes-ish. I'm going to talk about what could cause insomnia, what the different types are, and give you a little bit of practical information. And I think this is going to be very informative for you to learn this stuff. Okay, so what is insomnia? Insomnia can be not getting enough hours of sleep, and insomnia can be difficulty falling asleep initially or difficulty staying asleep. There's many other types of sleep problems that we're not going to go into because some of them are way too complicated. And we're really not going to go into sleep apnea, which is where people have trouble breathing and they gasp for air. If you think you or someone else has sleep apnea, then it's very important to get a home sleep study. Just a little bit about this. How would you even suspect this? Well, if someone that you know is gasping for air or stops breathing or snores loudly, those are signs of sleep apnea, and also being very tired during the day. So if you're very tired during the day, that would be a potential sign of sleep apnea. So then you need to get a home sleep study. And then if it's positive, then there's many different solutions. We're really not going to go into that on today's podcast. Now, so what are some of the most common forms of sleep problems or insomnia? One of them is difficulty falling asleep. So how long should it take to fall asleep? Oh, about 20 minutes or less, much less. But if it takes more than 20 minutes, we're going to talk about what to do about that. So that's called onset insomnia. There's another type of insomnia where someone wakes up in the middle of the night and it takes them more than 20 minutes to fall back asleep. That's called sleep maintenance problem. So if you have trouble going back to sleep, that's a sleep maintenance problem. Then there's another problem where people just go to bed too late. They wait till they're just totally exhausted, go to bed too late. They're not getting enough quantity. How much quantity do we need? We need at least 7 hours. A lot of the studies show that if someone gets less than 7 hours of being asleep, not just being in bed, but being asleep, then their body's inflamed and their brain is inflamed for about 4 days. So it's really not good for you to get less than 7 hours of sleep. So what have we said so far? We want to be able to fall asleep promptly, want to go to bed at a reasonable hour, and we'll talk about what that is. And then we want to be able to maintain our sleep, okay? Now, let's just talk about a sleep cycle. What is a sleep cycle? A sleep cycle is basically different sleep stages. Stage 1 and 2, which are lighter sleep. Stage 3 and 4, which are deeper sleep, more restorative sleep. And the next stage is REM sleep. How much does that take? About 90 minutes. We need about 5 of those to feel well rested. Full sleep cycles, okay? So they take about 90 minutes. So sometimes people wake up after that time. But hopefully if you do wake up after a sleep cycle, you can go back to sleep right away. Okay, so what about, timing? It's good to go to sleep at the same time every night. Why? Because it sets a circadian clock. So if you're an adult, you should actually have a bedtime. You think, no, just kids have a bedtime. No, adults should have a bedtime. What's a good bedtime? Well, between 9 and 10, actually. Because if you want to get 7 or more hours of sleep, you got to figure out how many hours you actually have to be in bed, and you have to be in bed longer than that because most of us don't have enough sleep efficiency, which is the amount of time we're asleep compared to the amount of time we're in bed. Because if you're in bed and you're not asleep, that is time that you're actually not sleeping. So we want to get into bed. We want to have enough hours there to accomplish greater than 7 hours of sleep. And I'd say at least a minimum goal would be 7.5. Now remember, kids need a lot more than that. They need at least 9 or 10. Teenagers need more than that. The biggest problem that teenagers have, they're going to bed way too late, and that is called a delayed onset sleep phase, where they go to bed when they're exhausted or they're playing video games. They're going to bed at 12, 1 or 2. And then they're waking up early to go to school. And so that's a typical problem of a teenager. The best way to deal with that is they need a bedtime. They can't have electronics in bed, otherwise they'll use them. Okay, so what have we said so far? We need a bedtime. Now, we also need a preparation time. What does that mean? If you want to prepare for sleep, what do you want to do? You want to decrease the amount of blue light exposure that you're going to get within an hour and a half to 2 hours of sleep. Why? Because blue light is stimulating and blue light can cause other harmful things. So really limit the amount of blue light you're being exposed to. So I suggest wearing blue light blocking glasses about an hour and a half to 2 hours before you want to go to sleep. And just, if you got regular glasses on, get some fit overs. If you don't have glasses, get some regular blue light blocking glasses. One of my favorite companies is called Block Blue Light, and they have a website, blockbluelight.com, and I'm going to have a link at the end of this for you to get a discount on their products. One of the other things is, one of the most helpful things you can do to fall asleep is to read. But remember, when you read, you don't want to have blue light. So if you're going to read an actual book, you want to read a book that is a clip-on that doesn't have any blue light. This company also has clip-on lights without any blue light, and you just choose which one you like. Okay, so one of the things is the light factor. You want to turn the lights down within 15 to 20 minutes of wanting to go to bed. You want the bedroom to be pretty dark, okay? So turn the light sources off in the bedroom. A very bad habit is watching TV in bed. It's, with the lights on, and so that's going to expose you to blue light. So if you really insist on doing that, wear your blue light blocking glasses in front of the TV. And then eventually, before you go to bed, turn the TV off and get the remote control at least 8 feet away from yourself. But I recommend not watching TV to fall asleep. Okay, what else can cause insomnia? Caffeine. Did you know that some people metabolize caffeine a lot faster than others? How do you know how fast you metabolize caffeine? Well, there's some people that could drink a cup of coffee and literally go to sleep. Those people are fast metabolizers. Some people could have a cup of coffee at 2 o'clock and they can't even go to sleep at 10. So one thing for you to understand is, how fast you metabolize caffeine. When is the latest time of day you could have caffeine? Now, one thing people don't realize is chocolate has caffeine in it. So if you load up on chocolate before you want to go to sleep, you could have trouble going to sleep if you don't metabolize caffeine. So I'd say decrease chocolate consumption before going to bed if you have any problems with caffeine. And for most people, don't have caffeine after about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And if you're really sensitive to it, don't have it after noon time. So that's one of the caffeine issues. There are some medications that actually have caffeine, so you've really got to look out for some of these things. Now, we talked about the light thing, which is blue light blocking glasses on at least an hour before you go to bed, if not an hour and a half, can be very helpful. Reading to fall asleep. If you have any trouble falling asleep, then try reading. Now, if you're going to read a device, then you can read the device, but make sure the blue light is off of the device, and make sure you're not just looking at the internet. If you're browsing the internet, that's too stimulating. You're not going to fall asleep. So don't browse the internet. Actually read a book. Either read a physical book with a clip light that has no blue light, or read on a device that's actually a book that's interesting. But don't read the news. Don't listen to a book. Some people think audiobooks. No, that won't help you fall asleep so well as reading. Get your mind off things. Now, if you feel very stressed before you go to bed, I would recommend to decrease the stress, do what's called a mind dump, where you write out everything you're stressed about and decide to make appointments with yourself to deal with it. Well, I need to make an appointment with myself to talk about finances, or I need to make an appointment to talk about this thing I'm stressed about. So don't go to bed stressed. Another thing, if you feel stressed and something's on your mind and you can't get it off, is tapping. I really recommend learning how to do this type of tapping called EFT. I really recommend the Tapping Solution app. At the end of this podcast, we're going to have a link, and we're going to give you a discount code for a year-long Tapping Solution app, because when you're doing that and you're doing the ones on stress, you're going to find 7 to 10 minutes will really unload a lot of this, so that you're not just constantly thinking about it. So learn how to tap. There are sleep programs on there, and there are I'm stressed about blank programs. Like, I'm stressed about my family, I'm stressed about work, I'm stressed about this and that. I'm stressed about the world. So if you're stressed a lot, learn how to tap. Now, there are some things that you might do to calm down the stress otherwise, and I'm just going to tell you about this. One thing I'm really into is homeopathy. There's a company called Des Bio that has some really good products formulated by a psychiatrist. One of the products is called Anxious. You would use half a dropperful under your tongue, hold it there for about 50 to 60 seconds. It will decrease anxiety. There's another product called PTS Stress. It's not just post-traumatic stress. That can decrease stress before you go to bed. So I would say that those two products can be the best ones. That company also has a product called Perfect Sleep. So I tell people you could take that before you go to bed. You could take that in the middle of the night if you wake up. We're going to have a link to Des Bio and a discount code on those particular products, and we're going to list those particular products at the end of our episode. Now, what about if you wake up in the middle of the night, your mind's racing? Or if you wake up in the middle of the night, you got to go to the bathroom, and then you're going back to bed, and you can't get things off your mind. So there's actually a homeopathy product called Coffea, C-O-F-E-A, Coffea Cruda, C-R-U-D-A, or C-R-U-D-E-A. This is a homeopathy product that stops racing thoughts. There's a number of companies that make this. One of them is Boron, and those are the ones that come in the blue tubes. And one of them's Hahnemann Labs, H-A-H-N, Hahnemann, E-M-A-N-N Labs. They're in California. Boron you can get at health food stores. So I suggest you get some Coffea Cruda, have it at your bedside, but before you go to bed, turn it upside down, twist it, get 5 pellets in there. When and if you wake up and your mind is racing, or if you tend to wake up and have trouble going back to sleep, pop the bottom of it, don't touch the pellets, dump them under your tongue, and that will calm down racing thoughts in a lot of people. Boron also has a product called Stress Calm if you're really stressed out, and they have a product called Sleep Calm to aid you in going back to sleep. Those are 2 tablets under the tongue, and you can just try those to see which ones work. I find with my patients and myself, Coffea Cruda is amazing, and I always have some to bring when I travel, and I always have some at the bedside. But a lot of people may need a little bit more support, like Sleep Calm or Stress Calm, or the product from Des Bio, Perfect Sleep. Now, what else can help you sleep? Getting exercise during the day. Not at night, not late at night, but during the day can be very helpful to get you to sleep, because it's like stress management. Both weightlifting and cardio can be very helpful to get you to sleep. Now, what about antihistamines? Are they good or bad to get you to sleep? Because a lot of people are taking different products like Benadryl and antihistamines. Did you know that if you take an antihistamine to get to sleep, then you're going to have altered sleep stages. They're not going to be as normal. You're not going to get as much rest from doing it. If you absolutely have to take it, that's okay, because getting to sleep is better than not getting enough sleep. But I do suggest that you try not to take antihistamines to get to sleep. What about alcohol? Same thing. Alcohol can disrupt normal sleep. I recommend using alcohol to go to sleep. Now, another thing that can be very helpful is don't eat within an hour and a half to 2 hours of going to sleep, because if you're allergic to something, you have a food allergy, or you just don't want all that food in your gut trying to go to sleep. Another thing that can be helpful is don't drink a lot of fluid within 1 hour of going to sleep. Because if you have trouble going back to sleep, if you wake up and have to pee, then just try not to drink very much fluid within 1 hour. Drink your fluid before that, and you can get to sleep. Now, what about melatonin? Melatonin can be helpful, but too many people are taking it right before they go to sleep. What should you do? Melatonin should be taken an hour and a half before you want to go to sleep, because it really is a circadian rhythm regulator. So you could take 0.3 milligrams up to 1.5 milligrams of melatonin. There are a number of forms of melatonin. I really like this one form called herbatonin. There's herbatonin is from vegetarian sources, and it comes in two doses, a 0.3 and a 3 milligram. And sometimes a 0.3 is enough. It's even stronger than regular melatonin. And we're going to have a link to that at the end of this podcast. So for some people, melatonin can be really helpful to regulate sleep. If you're trying to change what time you go to sleep, it can help you do that, because it can regulate your time to go to sleep, because it can make you sleepy, a bit sleepy. Even if you take it an hour and a half before you want to go to sleep, you can start getting sleepy right before you want to go to sleep, which is what you want. Now, what's another suggestion? Set a timer on your clock to tell you when to prepare for sleep, and set a timer when you know you should get into bed. Okay, so that may be two separate timers. Don't have it have some pleasant music, nothing really jarring, but the timer to prepare for sleep should be about 20 minutes before you're supposed to be in bed, and the timer to go to sleep is the time you want to get into bed. Next, when you go to the bathroom to brush your teeth, prepare for bed, don't have any bright lights on, or still have your blue light blocking glasses on. That's going to be very helpful. Now, I'm not going to really get into sleeping pills, but occasionally sleeping medications can be helpful. I'd rather you do it more naturally. Sometimes people are too stressed and have to lower cortisol at night. So you could take ashwagandha an hour and a half before you want to go to bed. There are some calming herbs like chamomile, or chamomile tea can be very helpful to calm you down before you want to go to sleep. Um, if you absolutely need to take a sleeping pill, of course, consult your doctor for that. But you do need to know that sleeping pills can become less effective over time. So it really is helpful to have all these methods in place to get you to sleep. One of the things that I'm going to tell you is, when you wake up in the morning, and it's ideal to wake up at the same time almost every morning, go outside and look at the light, look at the sky, because that will sort of regulate your sleep cycles. And so it's very helpful to do that, even if it's cloudy outside. Very helpful to get up first thing in the morning to regulate your sleep. So remember, in conclusion, getting more than 7 hours of sleep is important. Getting all your sleep stages is important. Getting regular sleep and getting your deep sleep in is important. You should feel well rested in the morning. And getting good sleep is like a foundation for almost every other health concern, including brain function, brain fog, having enough energy. So try some of these simple suggestions that I've got. Don't forget to click subscribe. Look at the end of our podcast for the different links for these products that I'm talking about, because I've vetted all these products, and you're going to get a discount on each one of them. And I look forward to seeing you at the next podcast.